Read Swastika P6 class test 2. Use of calculators not allowed. Okay, let's look at question 1. There are 40 students in a class and 25 of them are girls. What is the ratio of boys to girls? Okay, before we can find the ratio of boys to girls, we need to know how many boys are there. Okay, so the number of boys would be 40 minus 25, which will give us 15. Okay, so the ratio of boys to girls will then be 15 to 25, and we want it in the simplest form, so you divide by 5 on both sides. You get 3 to 5. So answer 3 to 5. Question 2. The circle has center O, AOE and COF are straight lines. Which line is the diameter of the circle? Okay, so the diameter has to pass through O. So choose a line that will cut through O. So firstly, AF, no, AF will not cut through O. BD also not cutting through O. E to O is actually the radius, not the diameter. Lastly, FC cuts through O. So FC is the diameter. Question 3, the diameter of the semicircle is 14 cm. Find the perimeter of the semicircle. Okay, now the common mistake that students make is that they find the arc only. They didn't add the straight line. Okay, so remember add the straight line. So the formula we're looking at is pi times diameter. The diameter is given, and since this is a semicircle, we use half times pi, which is 22 over 7, times the diameter, which is 14. Okay, so the formula we're using is pi times diameter for circumference of circle. So for semicircle, we halve it. Okay, without a calculator, how do you calculate this? Now you can actually simplify the fractions. So example 2 and 22, you can simplify them, divide by 2 on both sides. Now 7 can also be simplified together with the 14. So 14 is like 14 over 1. It's considered like the numerator. So I'm going to divide both by 7. So I'm left with 2 here. Okay, numerator multiply across, I get the 22, and denominator I get 1. So 22 over 1 is just 22. That's the arc. Now perimeter includes the straight line, so I need to add 14, the diameter. Okay, so answer 36 cm. Question 4, the perimeter of a square X here is 36 cm. The length of square Y is 2 times the length of square X. Okay, so let's find the length of square X first. Since the perimeter is 36, so I'll divide it by 4. It's not square root of 36, because 36 is the perimeter, 4 sides, so we divide by 4. So each side is a 9. For square Y, the side is 2 times, so 9 times 2, which is 18. This is 18. Find the perimeter of square Y, so 18 times 4, which is 72. Answer option 2. Question 5. Sean had $100. He spent $60 on a bag and 10% of his remaining money on a shirt. So what percentage did he spend in total? Okay, so firstly, right, you want to find like what is the remaining, because this is 10% of his remaining money. So remaining, before I can even find the 10%, I need to find the remaining amount first, which is 100 minus 60, which is 40. Then the shirt, which is 10% of that. 10% of that is 10 over 100 times $40. Okay, so 10 and 100. Then the zero can also cancel here. So this is actually $4. The shirt is $4. We want to find the amount that he spent in total, which is 60 for the bag plus $4 for the shirt. So that's $64. Percentage 64 over 100. The total amount of money is $100. So 64 out of 100 is the fraction. You want percentage, multiply it by 100%. Okay, so your 100 and 100 can cancel. You're left with 64%. So answer option 3. Question 6. Express 0.5 as a percentage. Now, some students may write 0.5 as 0.5%. But no, if you want to change to percentage, you have to multiply it by 100%. Okay, another way to look at it is 0.5 is actually half. So half as a percentage is actually 50%. All right, so the first way will be multiply by 100. Okay, if you want to change the percentage, you multiply either the decimal or fraction by 100. Then you get 50%. Okay, 200 of a number is 14. What is the number? 200% of a number is basically twice of the number. Okay, so you can express it this way. 200% of number is 14. So 100% of the number would be 14 divided by 2. Okay, so answer 7. Question 7, figure below is made up of 12 identical rectangles. What is the ratio of the shaded to the number of unshaded rectangles to the total number of rectangles? Leave your answer in the simplest form. If you read the question carefully, there are actually three numbers that you need, the shaded, unshaded, and the total. The shaded is 2. Total is 12, right? So the unshaded would be 10. So shaded to unshaded to total. And it must be in this order according to the question. So shaded is 2. Your total is 12 as given in the question. So unshaded is 10. Simplify this, you divide the whole thing by 2. So 1 to 5 to 6. Next part, how many more rectangles must be shaded so that 75% of the figure is shaded? Okay, so let's find out. We already know that 2 are shaded, right? So how many more must be shaded? So let's find out what's 75% of the figure. So 75% would be 75 over 100 times the total, which is 12. So 75 out of 100, if you divide by 25, you get 3 over 4. Then you can simplify again with 4 and 12, or you can take 3 times 12, which is 30, 36. 36 divided by 4, which is 9. So 9 is not the answer. 9 is the number of rectangles that has to be shaded, but they're asking how many more. So since we already have 2, we just need 7 more. All right, next part, question number 8. Caleb drew figure Q in a 1 cm square grid as shown. So this is figure Q here in the grid. For part A, draw a rectangle with the same area as Q on the square grid. Okay, to find the area of Q, right? You can cut this diagram up so that it's easier to find. There are a few ways to cut it, okay? Let me show you one way. So I'm trying to find the area right now. So every square is 1 times 1, which is 1 cubic cm, right? So I have 4 squares here, so this is 4 4 square cm. And then this is also 4. Now, these two triangles, right? This triangle is actually half of 4 squares, right? So that's a 2. This will make up 2. This will make up 2. So my total area would be 4 plus 4 plus 2 plus 2, which is 12. So in the diagram below, in the grid below, I need to draw a rectangle which has an area of 12 square cm. Now to get 12 square cm, there are a few ways, right? You just need to do one of it. So first one would be 1 times 12. Okay, then it can also be, sorry, let's do 2. 2 times 6. Then lastly, you can also have 3 times 4. So as long as you draw any of the rectangles with any one of these dimensions, you should get the answer. Okay, so when don't need to write all, don't need to draw all, but just one of it will do. Yeah, I'm going to fit like all 3 triangles, rectangles into the diagram. What you need to do is to just draw one on the grid itself. Okay, so if you have a 1 times 12, okay, because of a lack of space, I'm just going to squeeze it up right at the top. So 1 times 12, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Right, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 12. Yeah. Okay, so this is one of the answer, and then 2 times 6. Okay, so 2 times 6, 5, 6. Okay, this, or 4 by 3, 4, 3, 3 by 4, 4 by 3, whichever both are acceptable. You use a ruler. So these are 3 possible answers. You don't need to draw them all. Okay, then for B, what is the perimeter of the diagram drawn? Okay, so again, there are 3 different answers depending on which rectangle that you drew. So the first one will be 12 plus 12 plus 1 plus 1, which will be 26. Okay, then the second one would be 6 plus 6 plus 2 plus 2, which is 16. Or last one will be 4 plus 4 plus 3 plus 3, which is 14. So your answer can be 14 or 16 or 26. Okay, 3 different answers acceptable. Of course, the perimeter must correspond with the correct rectangle that you draw. Okay, Katie grew for question number 9. Katie grew 14 cm taller from P4 to P5. There was a 10% increase in height. How tall was Katie when she was primary 5? Okay, now the key thing is to identify your 100%. So if we're talking about a 10% increase, right? Percentage increase means that the original will have to be 100%. So at P4, it's taken to be 100%. At P5, if there's a 10% increase, means that that's 110%. So actually, we're trying to find 110%. Okay, so the increase is a 10%, which is 14. So I'm trying to find P5, 110%. So from here, I multiply by 11. So we take 14 times 11. Okay, do your calculations, you should get 154 cm. Okay, then next part B, Katie was 161 cm. P6, what's the percentage increase from P4 to P6? So P4 is the original. I'm going to find a percentage increase since P4. So we need to find that P4. P4 is 100%, or you can just take 154 minus 14. Which was 140 cm. Next, we need the increase. So from 140 to 161, we take 161 minus 140, which is 21. Now to find percentage increase, always use this formula. Increase over original times 100%. Okay, so this is the formula that you need. The increase is 21. What's the original? Original means at first, so before. Before is 140 times 100%. Okay, so simplify is divide top and bottom by 7. So this is a 3. This is a 20. Then I'll further simplify 20 and 100. Both divide by 20. So this is 1. This is 5. So answer 15%. Question 10, Mrs. Tan used the recipe below to make cookies. So this is a recipe for 5 cookies. So she had 700 grams of flour, 300 grams of butter, 200 grams of sugar. She used the ingredients to make the most number of cookies. What percentage of the sugar did she use? Okay, so firstly, what she had is not in proportion to what is needed for the recipe. So we need to find like what is the most number of groups of these 5 cookies we can have. All right, so each of the ingredient could give you different number of groups, but the most you can make will be as much as the least number of groups either one of the ingredients can give. Okay, so let's find how many groups first. For flour, you have 700 grams. So every group will have 200 grams of flour, so you divide 200. Now you should get 3 remainder 100. Okay, how you get remainder 100? Now you know if maximum you can get is like 3 of 200, right? So 3 times 200 is 600. You should have a leftover of 100 from 700. So that's how we get a remainder. Okay, then next is 300 for butter. Butter is 150 every group. So you divide by 150. This will give us 2, a nice number, just 2, no remainder. Then lastly, you have sugar, 200 grams of sugar. You divide by 60 for every group. The maximum you can get is 3 groups. But 3 times 60 will be 180. There will be a leftover of 20 grams. So remainder 20. Okay, we're not done yet. So this will only show you like how many groups you can get at most from each of the ingredient. Now, if let's say the flour can give you a maximum of 3 groups, right? Are we able to make 3 times of this recipe for 5 cookies? No, you wouldn't, because you wouldn't have enough butter. So it is the butter that is kind of like limiting how much Mrs. Tan can make, right? So the most she can make will be 2 groups of 5 cookies. So the sugar, she's only going to use 2 groups of 60 grams. So sugar used will be 2 groups of 60 grams, not 3 groups, because like I said, you can't make 3 groups of the cookies. Not enough butter, cannot make 3 groups. They have to come in a set. Okay, so only 2 groups max. Okay, so 120 grams of sugar is being used. The question is asking what percentage did she use of the sugar. So if she used 120 out of the 200 grams that she has, we'll take 120 over 200, you want percentage. So you times 100%. 100 and 200 can simplify. Then 120 over 2, which is 60%. So answer 60%. All right, next. Question 11. The figure shows 2 circles. The ratio of the diameter of the small shaded circle to the diameter of the big shaded circle is 2 to 3. find the ratio of the shaded part to the unshaded part. Okay, so firstly, we have the ratio of the diameter. You write down diameter. Let's call it small and big. Okay, which is 2 to 3. Now, what about the radius? Okay, the radius is half of the diameter, right? So small to big. If the small is 2 units, then the radius will be 1. The big one, 3 means you divide by 2, 1.5. Now, because you want like whole numbers, so you just multiply by 2, and you actually get back 2 to 3 again. Okay, that's the ratio of the radius. Now, we're actually looking for the area. Okay, let's find the area ratio. Okay, given that the small radius, let's take it as 2 lah, 2 cm or whichever. It doesn't matter because we are doing ratio, so there's actually like no units. Okay, so let's say it's 2, just 2. The area is pi times 2 times 2. Pi times r, right? So then the big one, pi times 3 times 3. Okay, so this is 4 pi. This is 9 pi. So you can actually simplify 4 and 9. Sorry, 4 pi and 9 pi. You can remove the pi, divide both sides by pi, and you would get 4 to 9. Okay, so the shaded part is actually 4 units. The unshaded would be the big circle, 9 units minus 4 units equals to 5 units. So this is 5. Okay, so answer shaded to unshaded is 4 to 5. Next question, question 12. This is an interesting question. Joe cut out 3 identical right-angled triangles. He joined them to form the figure below. A to B is 26 cm, and then you have C to D, which is 5 cm. Perimeter of the figure is 64 cm. Find the area of one triangle. Okay, let's label what we know first. I know there's a 5 cm, and this one is also 5 cm. This is also 5 cm. Now, if eventually I'm trying to get the area of a triangle, right, means that I need to know what's the base, okay? Because half times base times height will give me the area of one triangle. Okay, so my goal is to find the base. Next, perimeter of the figure, 64. I will need to use the perimeter of the figure to help me figure out what is the base of the triangle. Okay, so firstly, I have AB 26 cm, the whole thing, A to B. So A to B is actually made up of the longest side of the triangles, the longest side of the triangle times 2, right? 2 of that. But the perimeter of the figure does not include like the whole thing, but only this and this. Okay, the ones highlighted in yellow. Now, if the whole thing is made up of 2 of the longest side, and how can I find the yellow? Then I need to take away this part, right, from 26. Now, do you know that this part is actually also one one time of the longest side of the triangle? Okay, if you look at this triangle here, right, this is actually the longest side, right? So technically, these 2 yellow parts will give me one one time of the longest side of the triangle. Okay, so let me say again. So AB is 26. Technically, okay, maybe let's look at the numbers first lah. AD is 26 divided by 2, which is 13. 13. Okay, which means that this is also 13. Okay, would that be easier? If that's 13 means the yellow parts are also 13 because the yellow parts will form the other half. All right, so I have the yellow part already, which is 13. Now, this is the base. This is the base, and this is also the base, and they actually form part of the perimeter as well. Now, the other thing that I want to remove from the perimeter would be this. So whatever I'm highlighting is actually part of the perimeter, and there are known numbers, known values that I'm trying to remove. If I were to remove all the yellow and blue lines, right, I would end up with 3 times of the base. So 3 times of the base would be 64 minus 13 minus 5 times 3. Okay, the 5 times 3 is all the blue lines. So 64 minus 13 minus 15. This is 51 minus 15, 36. Okay, so the 3 times of the base is 36, which means that the base will have to be 36 divided by 3. Okay, now I can do half times base times height to get one triangle, which is 30. So 30 squares here. All right, so this is how you do this question. 13, there are some bits in X, Y, and Z. 40% of the number of bits in X is equal to half the number of bits in Y. Ratio of the number of bits in Z to the number of bits in X is 1 to 2. Express the number of bits in Z as a fraction of box Y. Okay, so firstly, we look at this line. 40% of the bits in X is equal to half in Y. This is what we call equivalent proportion. So I will form a fraction of X equated to half of Y. Okay, because question says equal. Okay, next I will simplify first. So 2 over 5x equals to 1 over 2y. Next, for equivalent proportion, you try and make the numerator the same, because this is essentially saying like 2 units of x equals to 1 unit of y. So I want to make it comparable. I'm going to make it 2 units of y. So 2 over 5x equals to 2 over 4 of y. Now that I have 2 units of x equals to 2 units of y, I can see that the total of x is actually 5 units. The total of y is actually 4 units. So x to y is 5 to 4. Okay, this will give us the first set of ratio. The second set of ratio is given in the question, z to x, which is 1 to 2. This means that I need to find my common base, which is x, and make them the same. Common multiple of 5 and 2 is 10. So I times 2 and times 5. Okay, now we can answer the question. What is z as a fraction of y? So if they say of the number of bits in y, right, means that y is the denominator. So z over y. Z over y is 5 over 8. Okay, because z as a fraction of y. So of y means y goes down to the denominator. Okay, question 14. Mrs. Kumar prepared some cherries and blueberries to decorate some cupcakes. Ratio of cherries to blueberries was 3 to 10. Each cupcake was decorated with 1 cherry and 3 blueberries. There were 2 blueberries left when all the cherries were used. So what's the ratio of the number of blueberries used to the number of blueberries left? Now, I will have let's use ratio. Okay, firstly, what is the ratio of the number of cherries and blueberries used? The amount that is used will follow what you put on each cupcake. Okay. Okay, sorry, the 3 to 10 first. 3 to 10. 3 to 10, we'll be talking about the total number of fruits used. Number of fruits that she has at first. Okay. So cherries, blueberries, 3 to 10. Okay, this is what she has. Okay, the ratio of what she has at first. But the amount that she used, right, will not follow the same ratio. Okay, what is the ratio of the cherries to blueberries used? Now, if you look at every cupcake, you have one cherry and three blueberries, right? So if you have two cupcakes, you would have two cherries and six blueberries. But what's not going to change is the ratio. It will always be 1 to 3 if you simplify it. Okay, so the total amount used will be 1 to 3. We don't know how many cupcakes, but that is definitely the ratio regardless of the number of cupcakes that we have. Okay, now I need to find a common base between these two ratios. So what's the common base? Uh, One thing that is the same between the two ratios would be the cherries. Why? Because all the cherries were used, which means that whatever cherries that she have at first, it would be the same number of cherries that she used in total because you have nothing left. So we make them the same cherries. Okay, now what do we know about the blueberries? There's a total of 10 units for blueberries, but she only used 9 units. So there's this 1 unit left. And if you read the question, they actually said that there were 2 blueberries left. Okay, so firstly, 10U minus 9U, 1U, right? So that 1U is actually the 2 blueberries left. Oh, sorry. Okay, we're looking for a ratio of the blueberries used to the number of blueberries left, right? For part A is basically 9 to 1. Okay, the 1 unit equals to 2, that one will come in the next part. Okay, 9 to 1. Used 9 units, left with 1 unit. Okay, cupcakes next. Now I will use the 2 blueberries left, which is the 1 unit that we were talking about. So if 1 unit is 2, right? How many cupcakes were there? Okay, 1 unit is 2 fruits, not 2 cupcakes. So how do I find number of cupcakes? Now, each cupcake has a 1 cherry. So technically, if you have 2 cherries used means 2 cupcakes, right? 10 cherries used means 10 cupcakes, right? So how many cherries were used? I have 3 units here. So 3 units. Oops. 3 units is 2 times 3, which is 6. Okay, so 6 cherries means that there are 6 cupcakes. So answer 6 cupcakes. Okay, because 1 cherry is 1 cupcake. So if you can find the number of cherries, C for cherries, not cupcakes. So if you can find the number of cherries used, which is 3 units, means that there are 6 cherries. So 6 cherries means that there are 6 cupcakes. Question 15. Aisha bought a pen and a notebook during a sale from a shop. She paid a total of $6 for both items after discount. Usual price of a notebook is $5. Okay, you need to find the price of the pen after discount. Okay, so she paid $6 for both items after discount, right? If you want to find the pen after discount, you need to remove the notebook after discount. Let's find the notebook after discount. So I know the original price is $5, right, for one notebook. And there's a 20% discount. So you actually pay 80%. So 80 over 100 times $5. Simplify and then 5 and a 5. So this is $4. Okay. So you just minus it off from what she paid, and then you get the pen after discount. $6 is what she paid for both items after discount, minus away the notebook, and you get the amount for the pen after discount. Okay, then the next part, after the sales, the number of pens in the shop decreased by 60%, and the number of notebooks decreased by 20%. As a result, total number of pens and notebooks in the shop decreased by 8. So you need to state whether it's a true, false, or not possible to tell for each of the statements below. Okay, firstly, um, there were equal number of pens and notebooks in the shop at first. It's not related to part A. Yeah, you need to refer to part A. Okay. So pens decreased by 60%, notebooks decreased by 20%. So as a result, the total number decreased by 8. Okay. So firstly, we'll find equal number of pens and notebooks in the shop at first. Uh, we wouldn't be able to tell any information from the at first, right? Because you're only given a percentage of the decrease and the number of decrease. So this will not be possible to tell simply because there is a lack of information given. Okay, so 60% and 20% could be any number at all. 60% could be 6, 20% could be 2, or and then that makes up 8. Or it could be other combinations of numbers, and that will give us different values of total at first, but it's not possible to tell lah. Okay, then the next one, there were equal number of pens and notebooks sold during the sales. Okay, so if let's say we go by this line, like assuming this is true, right? If there's equal number of pens and notebooks, it means that the decrease in the number of pens will be 4, decrease in notebooks will be 4 as well, right? So let's test this out, okay? See if it's possible. If 4 is 60%, can I get an actual number at first? So example, 60%. Sorry, I mean like actual number is like whole number. Okay, 60% of the pens, right? If it's half, like equal number, so right? So half of 8. So this would be 4. I'm trying to find 100% to see what's the number of pens at first, if this is true. Okay, then to find 100, let me find 20% first. So I divide by 3. Then before I find 100%. So this will be times 5. 4 divided by 3, 4 over 3. Let's just leave it as that first. Then I need to times 5, so 4 over 3 times 5, which is 20 over 3. And 20 over 3 is not a whole number. So not whole number, we know that this cannot be true at all. So it must be false. Not even not possible. Duh. We know for sure this cannot be true. Because 60% of the pens cannot have a value of 4. Okay, next question 16. Ali cut out 4 identical semicircles from an isosceles triangle piece of paper as shown in figure 1. Diameter is 20, as shown here as well. And then he arranged it accordingly in figure 2. So we need to find the total area of the 4 semicircles. Okay, to find area, we need the formula I should use is pi times radius times radius. Pi is 3.14. So what about radius? Radius is 20 divided by 2, which is 10. Then I'll take pi times 10 times 10. But because 4 semicircles, okay, never mind, let's just do this one first. Times 10 times 10 is a times 100. So this is 314. Okay, then because 4 semicircles combine to give you 2 full circles, I will take this one circle and I times 2. So answer 628 square cm. Write your units. And next one, find the area of the remaining piece of paper. Now, the challenge about finding the remaining piece of paper is to find the base and height of the triangle. Okay, the base and height of triangle. Now, this is isosceles. Isosceles. So you just need to find one side. Let's say I look for the height. If I know the height, I would know the base. It's the same isosceles. Okay, let's get a height. This is the diameter. Okay, so this is 20. Now, how about the top? Now, for the top part, right, if I were to complete the circle, it will look something like that. And the height of the triangle will actually touch the top of the circle. And this would also be the diameter, which is 20. Okay, so the height is 40 cm. So the triangle is half times 40 times 40, which is 800. The triangle minus the 4 semicircles, which is 628. And you get 172 square cm. Find the perimeter of figure 2. Okay, so this is the other part. The perimeter of figure 2, we have the diameter, right, which is 20. So 20, 20, and then you have a 16 here, which means that this part here, okay, hold on. This part here, oops, this part here is 4 cm. Okay, 4 cm, then this part here is 20. So what we want to do is we take the arcs should be okay, right? That's not really an issue. It's the straight lines that will be an issue. So I'm trying to show you where are the straight lines that you need to find. Okay, it's actually the pink ones minus the blue ones in order to get the lines that you need to add. okay, which is this one here, and then this, yeah, maybe I use yellow, this part here, this part here, and 16. Okay, the yellow ones are what we need. So in order to get the yellow ones, right, I'll take the pink ones minus the blue ones. Pink minus blue. Okay, let's do the arcs first, since that is easier. To find the length of the arc, right, we need pi times diameter. You have four semicircles, so that makes two full circles. Okay, let's find one first. One semicircle arc. Half times pi, which is 3.14, times diameter, which is 20. Half of 20 is 10, so this becomes 31.4. Then you have four semicircle arcs. 31.4 times 4, which is 125.6. Okay, then as I was talking about this, right, the straight lines, I want to find the yellow one, which is the pink ones minus the blue ones. Okay, let's find the pink ones, which is 20, 20, 16. 20, 20, 16. Which is 56. Let's indicate here. This is the pink one. Okay, then the blue ones, 24. So the straight lines to add will be the pink minus the blue, 56 minus 24, which is 32. Now the perimeter would be the four semicircle arcs, 125.6 plus your straight line, and you get 157.6. Okay, so 157.6 cm. That is your perimeter of figure 2. Okay, with that, that's the end of this paper with Swastika P6 class test 2.